In this video, I'm going to show you how you can design a shape like this with curved surfaces in Onshape, and then we'll take it to Blender, or we'll then apply this cool broken concrete texture to it. It's a great way to take a functional part and then apply some extra textures to it and make it even more interesting looking. So let's get started. Okay, so to start, let's create a new document in Onshape. We'll call this one Plant Pot. And then we're going to right click on View Normal To. Then I'll create a new sketch. And then let's draw out a nice plant pot shape. So I'll start with a base here. We're going to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to use a Bezier, like so. And then let's close this up with a line. Now I'll just set some basic dimensions. So let's set this bottom one to 1. Let's make sure that these two are perpendicular on top. This one 1.5 up here, and great. So this looks nice. Confirm that. Now let's do a revolve. So I'll revolve here, and I'll use the center here as the revolve axis. We'll click check. So this is our shape that we've made. Now we're going to turn it into a shell using the shell tool. It's this one up here. Click here. So now it will be a shell with a thickness of 0.1. That looks good. Okay, and now we will export this from Onshape to an STL. So I'll right click and then export. Call this one Plant Pot. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to Polyhaven and then on Assets and Textures. Now let's find a nice texture. So I want to use this rebar reinforced concrete one. I think that looks pretty cool. I'm going to click on the pancake menu and download the displacement texture as a PNG. So it opens it up as a PNG. Now I'm going to press Control S to save it. I'm going to save this to my downloads folder, like so. The next thing we need to do is we need to download the Qremeshify plugin for Blender. What this does is it helps you convert triangular meshes to quad meshes, and they're a lot easier to work with. So on this website, you can, on purchase, you can actually just put in 0 and pay nothing and download this plugin for free. So go ahead and download that. So now at this point, we should have these 3 files handy. We should have the STL file from Onshape. We should have the Qremeshify zip file downloaded, and then our displacement texture. So now let's go ahead and open Blender. So when Blender opens, just click in the background, then we'll go to Select All, and we'll delete these objects in the background. Now we want to install the Qremeshify plugin. So let's go to Edit, then Preferences, and then Add-ons. So you can see here that I have the Qremeshify add-on installed here already. So if you want to install Qremeshify add-on, go to this drop-down menu at the top, click on Install from Disk. Then let's navigate to our zip file, click on that, and then click Install from Disk. And then Qremeshify will be installed. Just to show you that Qremeshify is installed, if you press the N key, or you click on this arrow up top here, the Qremeshify tool is added to Blender here. Okay, so what we want to do now in Blender is go to File and Import STL. We want to import the plant pot, or the STL that we exported from Onshape. Let's import this. It's really big when it loads in. Now what we want to do is go to edit mode. You see that this mesh is not going to be very good for applying a texture to. We could use some of these built-in modifiers in Blender to remesh this, but it's not going to turn out super well. So we're going to use the Qremeshify tool to make this a nice quad mesh. So let's go back to object mode, select this here, click on this menu on the upper right, go to Qremeshify, then make sure to open advanced here. For our density, we're going to make it pretty fine, so I'm going to do 0.3. And then note that this says, please save first, remesh may be slow. Qremeshify is pretty intensive, so we are going to save this. We do this in case Blender crashes during the remesh process. Let's run the remesh. So the remeshing using Qremeshify just finished. I'm going to go to edit mode so we can look at the mesh that we've generated here. So it looks pretty good. You can see we are mostly a quad mesh now, which is much better. It's very fine detail. But note that there's some of these artifacts here where it's still a quad mesh, but it's not like a nice uniform, it's not just like nice uniform rows all the way across. There's something funky kind of happens here. And this is going to kind of mess up our UV unwrapping. So I'm going to undo this, go back to our previous mesh. I did undo by pressing Ctrl-Z. So let's look at, okay, we're back to our original mesh. Go to edit mode. Now when we do the remesh, I'm going to leave it at 0.3. Set this alpha parameter to 0.001. And then click remesh and let it remesh again. So remeshing with the alpha set to 0.001 just finished. Let's take a look under edit mode here. Note that those artifacts are now gone. There's no more of them here. So we just have nice even rows all around. If we look at the bottom, we'll see that there are some of these on the bottom, but that's okay. We don't care about that. There's some on the inside as well. Made the mesh very fine. So okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to apply seams to this for UV unwrapping. What we're going to do, select the edge select tool, and then I'm going to click one of these edges here and then hold Alt, and then click one next to it. So that will select all the way around this whole thing on the top. Now let's go to UV and then mark seam. So it shows up in red there. Let's do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to select one of these, hold Alt. Now it's selected all the way around the whole thing. Click on UV, mark seam. Next, we want to mark a seam that goes from top to bottom. So we'll select this one up here, and then I'll select, so I'm just going to shift click down here on the bottom. And so we've selected these two areas, or these two edges here. So then we're going to go to select, then select linked shortest path and click. Now you see it goes down and then it goes over to this one here. So I purposely selected this one kind of far away so that you could see how to correct it. So we'll hold shift and we'll just deselect each one of these. You could also hold Control and box unselect these. So I've selected this one long edge all the way up here. Now we go to UV, mark seam. And there we go. Our seam is marked. Everything is ready for unwrapping, but first we actually need to tell UV what to unwrap first. So we'll need to create a vertex group. So to create a vertex group, let's go to Data here. Click on this plus sign, Group, and then let's name this Outer Walls. Now we're going to select and add a bunch of faces to the vertex group. So I'll go to the Face Select tool up here, and then I'm going to select everything within our seams here. I'm going to just do this pretty roughly. I can zoom in and correct later. So holding Shift and then select, rotate around, hold Shift and select, rotate around, hold Shift and select. So let's zoom in and get this all cleaned up. So I missed some of these up here. So holding Shift and select, got those. Let's look around the rest of the top. Looks like I did a pretty good job. Now let's go down to the bottom. Looks like I need some more work here. I'm going to click on this to view it at a straight on angle. And I'm going to select everything up to my seam. This looks pretty good. Looks like I've missed some over here as well. Selecting up to the seam. Holding Shift and dragging. Okay, so I've selected all of the faces that I want selected. Now I click on Assign to assign them to the vertex group. Now if I click off the part, I can go back to the vertex group and click Select, and the group is selected. So now we want to unwrap this. Let's go to UV and then Unwrap Conformal. This usually takes a second. When you do the unwrap conformal, you have to have the mesh selected, otherwise it has nothing to unwrap. Let's go to the UV editing pane up here. Now you can see on the left panel here, the mesh has been unwrapped along these seams that we've specified here, but it is curved here, so we'll want to correct that. What we'll do, first, we'll just select this entire mesh. So we're going to select all here. I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to press R, and then we'll rotate it like so. Then open the rotate panel down here and typing in -90 to just set it to 90 degrees. To select the whole thing, you can also use UV select mode island. So I'll click that, click on this. Select it. I'm going to move it to the center, so press G and move the mouse and click. Now we need to square this up. I don't like how it's curved like this, so we'll zoom in. Let's look at an individual quad here. What we'll do is we'll select a edge here, right click, click on Align Vertically. That makes it straight up and down. Do that for this other one, Align Vertically. Now we will select this one here, Align Horizontally, and then select this one here, Align Horizontally. So now we've made this nice and square according to the Cartesian coordinate system. Now select on the Face tool, select the quad that we just squared up. We go to the Island Select tool and select the rest of the island. So our face is still selected, and we've selected the rest of the island. I'll show you what this looks like when I zoom out. So it's all round still. Now with those selections in place, go to UV, then go down to Unwrap, and then we're going to click on Follow Active Quads. And I'm leaving this set to length average. Hit OK. And just like that, it's all squared up. So now we want to bring our texture into play. We have our mesh all set up and pretty much ready to go. So let's go back to the layout mode. Let's put some of these things away, like put away Qremeshify. I'm going to press N to make that menu go away. Now let's bring in a displacement modifier. So go to the wrench tool, modifiers, add modifier, deform, and then displace. When you click on displace, this texture pane appears down here. We'll get to that in 1 second. So direction is normal, that's good. Vertex group, let's set that to the outer walls. Coordinates, let's set that to UV. Now let's bring in our texture from Polyhaven. So we select this texture properties down here, click on new, then go to open. So in our downloads folder, we have our displacement texture that we downloaded from Polyhaven. Open that, and look, the texture is now applied to the outside of our model here. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to modifiers. Check that everything looks good. So this all looks just fine. Let's increase the strength a bit. So you can make it really extreme. If I go too extreme, it intersects with the inner wall. So we'll do 2.7. That seems pretty good. Let's go back to UV editing now, and we can position things. When you go back to the UV editing pane, you have to click on this picture up here, and then click on the picture we just imported. So let's move this around. So I used the island select tool and selected there. We'll press G to move. I'm going to press S to scale, and then I'm going to press X to scale in the X direction only. I want to make this pretty much exactly the same width as our image here. So pressing G to move, press X, S and then X to scale. So that seems good enough. Now we go back to object mode and see how this texture looks. It's looking pretty cool. I'll show you what it looks like if we modify it a bit more. Let's go to edit mode. Let's press S and then Y to scale it in the Y direction. Then we'll go back to object mode. So it looks a little skewed now, looks kind of weird. Let's go back to edit mode, then S, X, and I'm going to scale it by X by 2. Now let's go to object mode. So it looks a little better now. It doesn't look so stretched out or distorted. So you can play with those settings as much as you want to dial in your texture. Let's take a look at the modifiers. I want to show you the mid-level and how you can change that to improve things. So oftentimes if you have a, let's go back to the layout actually, it'll be easier to see there. If you increase the strength really high, you'll see you can get kind of a sharp lip at the top, or maybe the bottom. You can get a weird lip there. It can be kind of angled in. We can fix that using the mid-level here. So watch, I'll just change that. Mid-level can kind of correct that behavior there. This model looks pretty good. What I will note is that we may need some final processing. We may need to cut this bottom off here. We can do that with a Boolean operation. So let's apply our texture now. Click drop down, or click on the drop down menu here and apply. Next, what we want to do is bring in an object. So I'll bring in a cylinder, like so. Import it in here. Let's press S to scale. Continue to scale this. And then press G, Z to bring it down. So pressing Z locks it to the Z axis. Press G, Z. Bring it up like so. Now we need to make sure that we have Bool tool installed. So go to File, or go to Edit, Preferences, Bool tool. If you don't have it, go ahead and download that. So now we select the cylinder we imported and then our model, then press Control-Shift-B. Then we're going to do an auto Boolean and click difference. You see it cut a nice flat surface on the bottom. So now we can set this up in the slicer and it will be a lot easier to print. We could also just cut this in the slicer. That would work as well. So now let's export this model and then get it ready for printing. Go to File, Export, STL. So let's put this, call it plant pot textured.stl. Now I'm going to open up Bamboo Studio. I'm going to go to File, Import. Import our plant pot textured. So there it is. And we can resize it or just get it printed.
So the print is finished, and let's go ahead and take it off the build plate. Let's take a first look. It's got a nice texture on it. You can see the rebar lines in it. So this is a bit of a better angle of what this final thing looks like. You can really see the lines of the rebar in there. Looks pretty cool.
So if you found this video helpful and you want to have more tutorials on how to design parts like this, go ahead and leave a comment below with a suggestion, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.